I sat in my car that morning, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles had turned white. My workplace loomed in front of me, but I couldn't bring myself to step inside. My chest felt heavy, my stomach knotted, and my hands wouldn't stop trembling. I kept staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror, eyes swollen from crying, makeup smudged from wiping my face too many times. It's strange how one moment can divide your life into before and after. For me, that moment was a stupid joke. Just one line, one laugh I thought meant absolutely nothing, and yet, it was enough to rip my marriage apart by sunrise. 8 years. That's how long Ethan and I had been married. People used to call us the stable couple, the ones who'd make it through anything. We'd met in our 20s, fresh out of college, and built our lives together brick by brick. He was my safe place, my calm in every storm. We had our quirks. Ethan was the serious one, always thinking ahead, making plans, while I was the sarcastic, spontaneous one who cracked jokes at inappropriate times. He'd roll his eyes, I'd laugh, and life would move on. Or so I thought. It was supposed to be a harmless girls' night. Just me and my closest friends, catching up over wine and greasy appetizers. The music was loud, the lights warm and golden, and our table was littered with half-empty glasses. We were teasing each other about relationships, who still had that spark, who was getting lazy in the romance department, who might be tempted to test the waters. And then, without thinking, I grinned and said, maybe I'll cheat one day, just to see if Ethan even notices. The table erupted in laughter. Someone snorted. I took another sip of wine, pleased at having made them laugh so hard. It was just a joke, at least, in my mind. But out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Mia, one of my friends, holding her phone up. For memories, she said with a smirk, filming bits of the night like she always did. I didn't think twice. Why would I? If you had asked me in that moment what the worst outcome could be, I would have said maybe Ethan hearing about it and giving me a lecture about my sense of humor. I never could have imagined what actually happened. Because by the time the sun came up, my joke wasn't just a joke anymore. It was evidence. It was a weapon. And it was the reason my husband's wedding ring was no longer on his finger. And the worst part? I didn't even see it coming. Ethan has always been the kind of man who keeps his promises. Steady. Loyal. The type who shows up early rather than on time, who double-checks the locks every night, who still makes sure my gas tank is full before a long drive. He's calm when I'm impulsive, methodical when I'm chaotic. I used to think that balance was what made us perfect together, my sarcasm bouncing off his straight-laced nature. But if I'm being honest, there was always a small crack in that balance, trust. Not the "I think you're cheating" kind of mistrust, but more like a quiet discomfort Ethan had with my humor. He didn't like my flirty jokes, not because he believed them, but because they felt disrespectful to him. I always waved it off with a laugh, telling him, relax, it's just my personality. And for years, I believed that was harmless. That night at the wine bar was no different, at least at first. The place had that cozy, golden glow that made everyone look softer, happier. The music was loud enough to give us privacy, the air smelled like garlic bread and perfume, and our table was crowded with plates we'd barely touched because the conversation was too good to stop. We were talking about relationships, who still had date nights, who forgot anniversaries, who might be getting too comfortable. That's when I said it. I don't even remember what led to it, only that my voice carried over the music as I smirked and joked, maybe I'll cheat one day, just to see if Ethan even notices. The table erupted. Laughter so loud it made people at the next table glance over. I leaned back, satisfied, sipping my wine like I'd just nailed a perfect punchline. I noticed Mia, my friend since college, holding her phone up, recording. She always documented our nights out for Instagram stories. For memories, she winked. I thought nothing of it. Later, as the night wound down, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mia. "Girl, you're wild, hope Ethan never sees that." I laughed, typing back something like, "He'd roll his eyes, nothing more." And I meant it. Ethan wasn't the jealous type. He was the opposite, maybe too secure for his own good. By the time I got home, it was past midnight. The house was quiet except for the hum of the fridge. Ethan was asleep in bed, his arm draped over my side of the mattress. I kissed his cheek softly so I wouldn't wake him, slid under the covers, and drifted off with the faint taste of wine still on my tongue. What I didn't know was that, while I slept, my phone wasn't the only one buzzing that night. Somewhere between my laughter and my kiss goodnight, everything had already started to unravel. The first thing I noticed was the cold. Ethan's side of the bed was empty, the sheets already cool to the touch. He usually left for work after I did, so the sight made my stomach tighten. Then I saw it. His wedding ring. It was sitting on the nightstand, perfectly placed, almost like it had been set there for me to find. Ethan never took it off, not to shower, not to sleep, not even when his hands swelled in summer heat. I sat up slowly, my pulse quickening. The house was too quiet. No sound of him in the kitchen, no faint rustle of papers from his home office. I went downstairs and immediately saw his coffee mug on the counter, half finished, steam long gone. Beside it, a spoon rested on a folded piece of paper. His phone wasn't there. Neither was his laptop bag, and when I glanced toward the front door, I noticed his suitcase missing from the coat closet. I already knew what the paper said before I even unfolded it. "Don't bother explaining. I know who you are now." My hands trembled as I read it again, trying to make sense of the words. My throat tightened until it hurt to breathe. I grabbed my phone and called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. I texted, "Ethan, what's going on? Please call me." The little delivered checkmark sat there like a brick wall, then another buzz. Not from him, from my friend Chris, a mutual friend we'd both known for years. What's going on? "Ethan sent me a video of you last night." My blood ran cold. My fingers felt numb as I typed back, "What video?" He replied almost instantly, "From girls' night. You saying you'd cheat on him. Was that real?" It hit me like a punch to the chest. The joke. The laughter. Mia's phone pointed at me. Somewhere between the clinking glasses and my goodnight kiss, Ethan had seen it, or someone had made sure he did. And instead of asking me, instead of even giving me the chance to explain, he'd made up his mind. I wanted to believe this was a misunderstanding that could be cleared up with a conversation. But Ethan's silence, that was what terrified me most. Because Ethan's anger was never loud. It was cold. Measured. And when he went quiet, it meant he was already planning his next move. And I had no idea what that move would be. By noon that same day, I was in my car, driving toward Ethan's office. I'd called twice on the way, both times getting voicemail. When I stepped into the lobby, the receptionist, a kind woman who'd known me for years, looked at me with a mix of surprise and pity. "Hi, is Ethan in?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She hesitated before answering. "He's working from home today." Working from home. That was code for he's avoiding you. The drive back felt longer, heavier. When I walked into the house, I noticed details I had missed in my panic earlier. The coat closet was emptier. His gym bag was gone. His running shoes, the ones he kept by the door, were missing. Not everything was gone, but enough to tell me he wasn't coming back tonight. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed the joke in my head. The laughter. The way Mia's phone had been angled at me. The cold note on the counter. Days blurred together. I sent message after message, please talk to me. It wasn't real. You know me better than this. Each one was met with silence. On the fourth day, my phone buzzed with a bank alert, $28,000 transferred from joint account to personal account, Ethan K. My stomach dropped. That wasn't just precaution. That was separation. By the end of the week, whispers started making their way back to me through mutual friends. People were asking if it was true. If I'd actually cheated. One even told me, Ethan seemed so hurt when he told us. I'm sorry, Rachel, but it sounds bad. It didn't matter what I said, the video had already written the story for me. Sitting alone in the kitchen one night, I stared at the empty chair across from me. The one Ethan always pulled out before I sat down, the one that now felt like a reminder of every time I'd made him uncomfortable with my jokes. The thought crept in slowly, like a shadow crawling across the floor, maybe this wasn't just about one night. Maybe my joke hadn't planted the doubt. Maybe the doubt had already been there, buried deep, waiting for the perfect excuse to grow. 7 days. That's how long it took for Ethan to finally agree to meet me. His text was short, almost businesslike, coffee. 3 p.m. corner cafe. Foreclosure. Those last 2 words, foreclosure, hit harder than any of the rumors or the bank alert. When I walked into the cafe, he was already there, sitting at a small table by the window, fingers wrapped around a mug he clearly had no intention of drinking from. His posture was straight, his expression unreadable. Hi, I said softly. He nodded once, not offering a smile. Rachel. I sat down, heart pounding. Ethan, it was a joke. You have to know that. I would never. He held up a hand, cutting me off. I didn't leave because of the joke. That stopped me cold. Then, why? He looked me in the eye, his voice calm but heavy. I left because of the way you smiled when you said it. Like it wasn't a joke at all. Like part of you meant it. And in that moment, I realized. I wasn't enough for you anymore. The words landed like stones in my chest. That's not true, he shook his head. Maybe not consciously. But I've felt it for a while. You've been restless. Looking for excitement. That night, it was just the final push. I swallowed hard. But how did you even see the video? It wasn't, he leaned back, eyes narrowing slightly. Mia sent it to me. My breath caught. Mia. He nodded. She messaged me the night you were out. Said she thought I should know. She even told me she wouldn't be surprised if you already had someone else. I sat there, stunned, my mind replaying every smile, every toast, every inside joke I'd ever shared with Mia. She likes you, I whispered, the realization making me feel sick. I figured that out, he said flatly. But I'm not with her. I don't plan to be. This isn't about her. It's about us, or what's left of us. Ethan, if you'd just talk to me, I don't need to argue about what's already broken, he interrupted. We were on different paths, Rachel. This just made it obvious. He stood, placing a few bills on the table for his untouched coffee. Take care of yourself. And just like that, he walked out of the cafe, leaving me sitting there with a truth I didn't want to face, that it wasn't Mia, or the video, or even the joke that ended us. It was that somewhere along the way, without meaning to, I'd stopped making him feel like he was enough. I sit at the same table at girls' night, but I'm not the same woman I was months ago. The music is still loud, the cocktails are still colorful, and the laughter still spills over from table to table. But I don't laugh as loudly anymore. I don't perform for the room. I keep my voice softer, my eyes on the women in front of me, not on who might be watching from the other side of the bar. The night feels different when you've been burned by the people you let closest. Ethan is dating again. I know because I saw him once by accident, coming out of the bookstore with a woman whose hand fit perfectly in his. He was smiling, really smiling. That smile used to belong to me, but now it belongs to someone else. And I didn't feel jealous, not exactly. It was more final. Like the last page of a book you thought you'd keep rereading, but suddenly realize it's not yours to open anymore. People still tell me, it was just a joke, Rachel. He should have gotten over it. But deep down, I know better. It wasn't the joke that ended us. It was what lived inside it, the restlessness, the quiet thought in the back of my mind that maybe, someday, I could do better. And when I said it out loud, laughing like it didn't mean anything, Ethan saw something I didn't think he'd catch. He saw the truth behind the smirk. And once you see the truth in someone's eyes, you can't unsee it. Mia. I don't talk to her anymore. She reached out once after it all happened, claimed she didn't know Ethan would take it that way. But I've replayed it enough times to understand that her timing wasn't an accident. Some betrayals wear lipstick and call themselves friendship. Now, I measure my words differently. I think about the weight they carry, the cracks they can leave behind. Because love doesn't end with a single blow, it dies in the small fractures we ignore until the whole thing collapses. If one sentence can end your relationship, you have to ask yourself, was it really the joke, or was it what the joke revealed?